Okay, so we love getting your suggestions for topics, and wow, you guys really hit us with a good one.
Yeah, traffic.
Traffic. I mean, who hasn't sat there just fuming? Why can't someone just fix this?
Exactly. And you've sent us a ton of articles, studies, even some pretty out there ideas, all trying to figure out this puzzle.
Yeah, so we figured let's do a deep dive into all this stuff. Really try to go beyond just, you know, too many cars, surface level stuff.
Right, because when you look at the research, you start to see traffic isn't just a problem, it's like a whole system with its own weird rules,
A system where adding more roads can make things worse.
where perfect drivers could still end up in a jam.
It's mind-bending stuff, so
Yeah.
buckle up because we're going to get into all of it.
Yeah, let's start with something everyone's experienced, those phantom traffic jams,
Oh, yeah.
where you're cruising along and suddenly it's brake lights for no reason.
The worst.
And one of the articles had this really cool analogy. Think of a slinky.
Okay.
You stretch it out, give one end a little nudge, that little wave travels all the way down, right? Traffic is kind of like that. One person taps their brakes a little and boom, it ripples backwards, creating this growing wave of slowdowns.
So one person's little hesitation becomes my 20-minute delay.
It can, and the articles really emphasize this idea of traffic as a complex system.
Complex system.
Right, it's not just cause and effect. One stalled car equals backup. It's thousands of individual drivers all making decisions constantly.
And those tiny choices add up.
They totally do, and the results are often unpredictable, these emergent behaviors, as the articles call them.
So you're saying even if everyone was trying to be the perfect driver, like super smooth, no sudden moves,
Even then,
we could still get these phantom jams.
that's what the simulations in the articles show. Even with perfect drivers, these waves of congestion can pop up just because of tiny, unavoidable variations in how people react.
Wow. So it's not always about bad drivers then.
Sometimes it's just the system itself.
Which brings us to the whole selfish driver thing. Now, the articles don't actually call people selfish, but they do talk about how individual decisions can actually make traffic worse for everyone.
Yeah, and this is where game theory comes in, specifically this idea of Nash equilibrium.
Okay, break that down for us.
So imagine a game where what you choose to do depends on what you think everyone else will do. Nash equilibrium is basically the point where everyone's made the best choice for themselves given what everyone else is doing.
Okay.
The catch is, as the article points out, everyone acting in their own best interest, like darting into that lane they think will move faster, actually ends up making things worse for everyone overall.
So we're all kind of stuck in this bad equilibrium.
Exactly. No one has an incentive to change their behavior, even though everyone would benefit if they did.
And then there's this crazy thing called Braess's paradox.
Oh, yeah, this one's a head scratcher.
The idea that adding more roads can actually make traffic worse.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you think about it in terms of individual drivers trying to optimize their own commute, it kind of makes sense. So you add a new road, everyone wants to take the fastest route, right?
Sure.
But if enough people flock to this new shortcut, it can overload that road and disrupt the flow on the existing roads, making travel times longer overall.
So basically it's like everyone trying to cheat the system ends up breaking it.
In a way, yeah, sometimes less is more, even when it comes to roads.
So what does this mean for the whole we need more roads argument?
Well, the article tackles that head on with this concept called induced demand.
Induced demand.
The basic idea is that when you increase the capacity of roads, it often just encourages more people to drive or to drive more often or longer distances.
Like widening a pipe just means more water flows through.
Exactly. The article uses Los Angeles as a prime example, endless freeways, and yet they're always jammed.
Yeah, LA traffic is legendary for a reason.
And it shows how simply adding more lanes doesn't automatically reduce congestion in the long run. The new space just gets filled up.
So if building more isn't the answer, what are some of the other solutions the articles talk about?
Well, there are a bunch of really interesting ideas that go beyond just physical infrastructure.
Like what?
One is congestion pricing.
Congestion pricing.
It's basically charging drivers a fee to enter certain areas, especially during peak hours.
Oh, so like a toll, but it changes based on how bad the traffic is.
Exactly. It's a way to manage demand, give people a reason to travel at different times, choose different routes, or consider other modes of transportation.
Which brings us to shared mobility, right?
Yes, things like carpooling buses, trains. The idea is to get more people into fewer vehicles.
Makes sense. Use the existing infrastructure more efficiently.
Right, and the articles also talk about the potential of AI and autonomous vehicles.
Self-driving cars. How would that help traffic?
Well, the idea is that AI could make traffic flow smoother and more predictable by eliminating human errors like sudden braking or lane changes.
But one of the articles also mentioned this thing called hybrid chaos.
Right. That's a potential risk we have to consider. If you have a mix of autonomous vehicles and human drivers on the road, the difference in how they behave could actually create new kinds of instability.
So unless the systems are really well integrated, it could actually make things worse.
It's a possibility, which is why a lot of research is focused on making sure autonomous vehicles can seamlessly interact with human drivers and the existing infrastructure.
Okay, so beyond the technology and the roads themselves, the articles also talk about this whole human element of traffic,
Yeah, the psychology of driving, cultural factors, all that stuff.
like how we're all taught to be individual drivers, look out for number one.
Exactly. And that mindset can contribute to aggressive driving, cutting people off, all that behavior that makes traffic more unpredictable and ultimately worse for everyone.
And then there's rubbernecking.
Ah, yes, the universal urge to slow down and gawk at accidents or anything unusual.
It's like we can't help ourselves.
And it creates these huge bottlenecks that just back things up even more.
So we're really talking about a whole complex web of factors here. And the deep dive extrapolation we did suggested that this all connects to even bigger systemic issues.
Yeah, if you zoom out even further, the articles hint that traffic jams might be a symptom of broader challenges, like limitations in how we design systems and the difficulties of coordinating decentralized decision-making in chaotic environments.
So it's not just a transportation problem, it's a problem with how we organize ourselves as a society.
In a way, yes, we have millions of individuals all making decisions with limited information, and that can lead to unpredictable outcomes like traffic jams.
So the solutions probably need to be just as multi-layered.
Exactly. The extrapolation points to things like urban planning that prioritizes walkability, cycling, and public transport, reducing our reliance on cars in the first place.
And maybe finding ways to actually change driver behavior.
Yeah, through education campaigns, incentives for cooperative driving, and policies like dynamic congestion pricing that adjust in real time based on traffic conditions.
So it's not just about building our way out of this, it's about changing how we think about transportation altogether.
Exactly. The articles draw some interesting parallels between traffic systems and other complex systems like ecological or financial ones.
How so?
Well, in all these systems, individual self-interest without the right kind of regulation or incentives can lead to instability and negative consequences for everyone.
So traffic is kind of like a microcosm of bigger societal challenges.
In a way, yeah.
So the takeaway here isn't just that traffic is annoying, it's that it reflects something deeper about how we interact with complex systems.
That's a great way to put it. The articles ultimately argue that traffic jams aren't just a technical malfunction. They're a consequence of human behavior within these complex, self-organizing systems.
Which leaves us with a lot to think about as we go about our daily commutes. From phantom jams to induced demand to the psychology of driving. What parts of this deep dive resonated with you, and how does all this connect to your own relationship with transportation, the way you get around, the choices you make,
Yeah.
and the bigger systems at play? That's a lot more than just getting from point A to point B, wouldn't you say?
It really is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating and frustrating world of traffic jams. Until next time, keep those suggestions coming.
And drive safely out there, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.